speakers to understand that we are a little bit late. Massimiliano Granieri, ASTP Proton.
Good morning and thank you. I'll try to be as quick as possible in my presentation. My name is Massimiliano Granieri. I'm an academic professor in Italy and recently appointed as board member of ASTP Proton. As many of you know, ASTP Proton is the largest technology transfer professional association in Europe. We aim at AUTM in the US and is based in Leiden. We actually are a result from the merger between ASTP and Proton Europe, which was the association of national associations. We were starting now this new era in Europe. Actually, we will have the annual conference next week in Oslo. I'm doing the sandwich guy. And if some of you is interested in joining us, I will leave the leaflets outside. The topic I'm going to talk about today is something that's been going around for quite a bit now. It's the market for technology in Europe. And I will try to, first of all, not to mess up the issues that I will try to address quickly is, first of all, if there is a market for technology in Europe, as effective as the one in the US. Second, if there is this market working properly? Is an effective market? Is a suffering? Which are the determinants and the policy levers which we could use to improve the market in Europe for technology? Sorry. And most of all, the question is, the implicit answer is the market in Europe is not very effective. There is a market, but not very effective. Just to give you official data, the market for royalties, which includes everything, also royalties coming from copyrights, was worth something like $2.9 billion US back in the 70s and accounts for something like 180 billion US dollars in 2009. This is official data from the OECD. The lion's share of this market is US. Okay, so the US is playing the big role. And the question is why Europe is lagging behind. That's the main question we're asking. The topic became hot back in 2006, 2007, when a research group from University of Bocconi, mostly, Alfonso Gambardella, Paolo Giuri from Bologna and others, were doing a survey on behalf of the European Commission, the PATWAL survey, PATWAL 1, that some of you may know. And they discovered that a large amount of EU patents lie unused while hiding a great value. Okay, they discovered that the distribution of the value in patents is asymmetric. That's something that anecdotally we know. Few patents have a great value. A lot of patents are almost worthless. The distribution is skewed, so we don't know whether the patents unused are worthless or if there is some value into that. And the Commission was alarmed by this study. As a matter of fact, in Europe 2020, and particularly in the Innovation Union flagship initiative, there was a specific item, the item 22, that empowered the Commission to do something to create, to develop a European knowledge market for patent and licensing, trying to understand what was going on into the market and why the market was not working. The PATWAL 2 survey, which is not already finished, completed, but basically confirms the trend in Europe. The situation is not very much improving. In 2010, in response to that item, the European Commission created an IPR expert group on sleeping patents. That's the way, or dormant patents, the way they call it. I was part of the IPR expert group, and we issued a report in 2010, 2011 This is actually the report, which is available on the website of DG Enterprise. And what is interesting and also a little bit annoying, before the evidence that came from this extensive survey, we could barely agree on the magnitude of the phenomenon. We could barely agree on the fact that there is something between 8 to 24% of all patents in Europe actually not used. And we struggle a lot to understand when a patent is used, what's the meaning of using a patent strategically for licensing, for production, and so on and so forth. At the same time, the Commission asked St. Gallen University to identify or to investigate whether it can be created a financial market in Europe using the stream of royalties as the background of the market. And the answer was clearly negative because the underlying market is not well developed. These are the conclusions that we reached that are in the report. When you take a myopic view to the problem, when you start looking really into things, you see that figures reveal different situations. For example, public and private fare different. The 24% is more public, the 8% is more private. We were told, and we're constantly told, that the economic crisis might have consequences on the patent portfolios because many companies actually cut and prune the portfolios to reduce patent costs, which is not actually true because we have seen statistics increasing the number of patents. Of course, in crisis we tend to defend our competitive advantage by improving the size of the portfolio. Industrial and technology sectors are differently. Of course, ICT and biotech or new materials, medical devices is not, by no means is the same in terms of intensity of exploitation. Size of company matters in different respects. Small companies with small portfolios and very low skills and competencies are less able to out-license their technology or outreach to in-license third parties' technology. Question one might ask, what is the right level of exploitation? We know that up to 24%, 1 out of 4 patents is not used. But what would be the optimal level of exploitation at macroeconomic level? There is no answer to this question. There was a study 10 years ago by McKinsey that provided an answer at company level. And they said that a well-managed portfolio should be licensed at least at 15% and generates at least 5% profits for the company, which was, of course, an average size. And are things different in other countries? Anecdotally, yes. Is there a market failure in Europe? I believe yes. What are the explanations? Why this market is not working? And I guess we are discussing this today. There are several explanations. I grouped those explanations in 2, legal factors and non-legal factors. The European Commission is aware that the legal infrastructure of Europe, of the internal market, is instrumental in the working of the market. And again, in Europe, in the Innovation Union and in Europe 2020, there was a clear indication of actions that should be taken to fix this problem at legal level. I'm a lawyer, I'm not going to talk about these legal aspects because it's a minefield and I want to go safe to lunch. Non-legal factors, which might be interesting because eventually we're talking about technology, not law. Transaction costs in this market are relevant. We know how extensive and difficult it is doing due diligence, identifying licensees, identifying complementary know-how, negotiating agreements, surveying the market to look for potential infringers. And this is valid for everything, for everywhere, not just for Europe. We might suffer from technologies which are far away from the market, too early stage, that needs development before going into the market and being turned into products and services. And we don't have data actually on the level of maturity of European technology vis-a-vis US technologies, for example, but the nature of the research. is actually a determinant of the quality of the technology. We do have low level of what the literature calls absorptive capacity, because we have a lot of small and medium enterprises, and when we say small and medium, they are much smaller and much medium than in the US or in Japan. They are very low. They don't have the ability to understand the technology, to understand the technological needs, and to acquire the technology from outside. And this is true on the demand side. Sometimes lack of adequate skill and competencies on the supply side. We talk about universities and public research institutions in Europe. We have been working, particularly in Italy, with Netval for the last 10, 12 years to improve the situation. The situation is improving slightly, but it takes time. The US with the Bayh-Dole and what came out after the Bayh-Dole as a lead time advantage of 30 years, so we were self-justified by this. Policy option, how do we fix this market failure? How do we go about trying to solve this problem? There was an option on the table when we met in Brussels in 2010, and the option was, we do nothing. We believe in the market will fix it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if there is an opportunity down the road, someone will size it somehow. There was another option. Was paradoxical, because it was the opposite option. The market is not working, let's create the market. There was a proposal made by the European Investment Bank that was about creating a European platform that would mimic the market for technology, buy all the patents and try to resell the patents to potential users. Very top-down approach. We were extremely critical about that, and fortunately the idea passed away. The minimum option is already in place. Act on what we call background condition. Remove the de facto obstacles that prevent commercialization, particularly on the side of the patent system, not only in terms of cost. And the medium option is try to identify solutions which are consistent with a truly competitive, free, open market, which means decentralized option, where you give responsibilities to people that generate intellectual property and let them understand that when you file a patent on a promising technology, that is not the end. That is just the beginning of a long avenue in which you have to believe because you have to make an impact, or a combination of the few things. And I'd like to conclude, and I think we're doing well, on the role of intermediaries, because one of the recurrent topics that not only in the literature but also in the policy discussion is the role of intermediaries in creating or improving the European market for technology. And by intermediaries I include technology transfer offices, either internal or external, as Professor Takai said. We have seen in the market intermediaries working and actually creating the market. The market for risk with insurance companies, the market for credit with banks, the retail goods market with distributors and franchisees. There is always someone between production and use that fills the gap. And this is probably what we need in the technology market. Second, intermediaries might pursue a strategy of specialization. We have to be, and this comes from a lawyer, so I take credit for this. We need to be respectful of technology and not speak in terms of technology in general. We have to understand that each technology is different from the other. The model of exploitation is different. The industry structure is different. And exactly as in the venture capital market, the most successful venture capital firms are specialized in some technology. The same should happen with IP intermediaries. Make companies that know everything about the given sector or a few sectors, not just wide, broad range bona-to-fair intermediaries, which are bona-to-fair but actually not effective. Critical masses are of the essence because they reduce transaction cost. It's, we've seen it's easier to market and promote large portfolios or significant portfolios rather than one or few patents because due diligence costs are significant, relevant, and we have to reduce the average of those costs versus the size of the portfolio. Skill and competencies. As ASTP Proton, we are involved into a call by the European Commission on capacity building in technology transfer, because one of the reasons why the market is not working depends on the inadequate level of skill and competencies that institutions have in this respect. We have to work a lot on soft skills, for example, negotiations, on communication, of a number of things that probably we have not considered properly so far in Europe. And eventually, we have to pursue the chance to combine with financial intermediaries, because if the issue is low level of maturity of the technology, we also have to have the right level of money to bring this technology closer to the market and make sure that even less sophisticated, less endowed subjects, like small and medium enterprises, can access these technologies. And this is also important. And third, we need people able to do what Harry Chesbrough said about licensing in the open innovation model. Licensing is really, it's all about finding a business model for each technology. And there is no one-fit-for-all methodology for licensing. We have to have this creative approach in technology transfer, and specialized intermediaries probably are much better in this than just general or individuals who dare to invest into this market. Thank you for your attention. I think I did the job.